Welcome to the setup process of Try Django 1.10. In this one, we're going to be talking about the version Django 1.10. We're going to be talking about some of the basic things that may have changed from previous versions, but really we're going to make a very simple but useful Django project throughout this series. Now, this is not the first Try Django series we've created. In fact, there's a few others. So, there's a couple things that I recommend that you do now. One of those being going to our YouTube channel, that's joincfe.com/YouTube. And on this channel, you are going to navigate to our setup process. That setup process is down towards the bottom on our main page. You're going to set up your system. That is, if you're on Mac, do Mac, Windows, and Linux, and so on. If you're working on Windows, the commands are slightly different. Those things we will discuss in that setup process. Now, the next thing that you want to note is the playlist. So if you scroll to our playlist there, you'll see several different projects. And if we view some more, you'll see, of course, the installation projects. But then you also see a few other Try Django projects. Now, the versions of Django aren't that much different. In fact, Django version 1.5 isn't a whole lot different than Django version 1.10, especially if you're a beginner. If you are a beginner, then you can start with us on this video. We're going to go step by step, but then you can also try out these other versions, Django 1.8 or Try Django 1.8 and Try Django 1.9, but following, this is the key thing, following the version that's in the video, and then after you finish all the videos or all the series, then you can upgrade to a newer version, which we'll talk about in this on how you would go about upgrading. It's really simple. It's very, very easy, but there's some things that you'll want to note. Now, going back into djangoproject.com, we're going to look at this rationale as to why you can still do Try Django 1.8 and actually stick with version 1.8. So if you go to the download section of it and you scroll down to supported versions, these are supported versions that the Django core developers are going to support. And as you see here, Django 1.8 came out in 2015, and it's going to be supported until the end of the first quarter of 2018. So probably somewhere around March. I'm sure it says in the actual schedule below. 1.9 is coming towards the end of its life soon, but the content in Try Django 1.9 is still valid. And then, of course, version 1.10 is actually going to be ended support before the support for 1.8 is done. So that means when 1.11 comes out, we're going to be doing a much more comprehensive overview of Try Django. So Try Django 1.11 will coincide with this long-term support or the long-term supported release. That's something to note as far as the versions are concerned. Now, the last thing I wanted to say is we're going to be using Sublime Text. So if you've seen any other sort of text editor that we've used before, this is the one we're going to be going with. Now, a text editor is simply where we're going to write code. So like if you were writing a book, for example, you would write it in Word or Pages. In our case, we're writing code, so we're writing it in a text editor called Sublime Text. You can use other Python text editors if you like. There's a lot of them out there. Sublime Text is what we're using. It's not a paid endorsement. I just like their software. It's actually really good, and that's why I use it all the time, and I recommend it all the time as well. It's not free, but the free version does have like full capability, except it nags you all the time to upgrade. So that's it as far as what we need to do for setup. So now you should pause, go to YouTube, go to that setup URL. Now you should be done with the setup process. So by the beginning of the next video, you're going to want to make sure that you have pip installed, you're going to want to have virtual environment installed, and you're going to want to have Python installed. So we're going to be using Python 3 in Try Django 1.10, which is different than other Try Djangos that we've done before. But if you use Python 2, most of those things should work still, but we're going to be starting to use Python 3 going forward. So if you have questions on how that works, please hold them until later in the course if there's any like little errors between the different versions. But just like with Django different versions, Python 3 and Python 2, the versions are very, very minor as far as the changes are concerned. All right, so thanks for watching, and let's actually jump into the project now and get started.